Let's continue. Joe Rogan. Actually, Rogan recently, he was talking on his own podcast about the Tony Hinchcliffe comments. And he actually made some interesting comments specifically about how he had warned Tony in the past that joke was going to get him stabbed. Let's take a listen.
I don't really blame Tony, though, because Tony is what Tony is,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you want an insult comic, Tony is the best in the world.
That's literally his great specialty is roasting.
Right.
He's
So
the best roaster ever.
if you book Tony Hinchcliffe is going to be Tony Hinchcliffe.
Exactly.
So whoever fucking booked him, that's the person that's made the
Not
mistake.
just booked him, but apparently went over his material.
Did they go over his material?
No.
Oh my.
This is what I've read on the internet, so it must be true.
In the words of Donald Trump, someone's getting fired, man.
I gotta tell you, that joke kills at comedy clubs. I don't like the joke. It kills. And I said to him, it's just like, if you're Puerto Rican and you hear that in the audience, like, oh, but it's a funny joke. The joke does well. But I said to him, I go, dude, that's the one that's gonna get you stabbed.
Really?
Yes. And he used to talk about it on stage, saying, Joe Rogan always says, that's the one that's going to get me stabbed. Like,
Wow.
which is so crazy. Here's where that joke comes from. Tony is actually obsessed with the Pacific garbage patch and like the fact that we just throw, like we were talking about, like recycling. Like recycling doesn't work. They don't do it. Most of your bottles, when you throw in a recycler, they get put in landfills. So there's a landfill in Puerto Rico that's way overflowed. Puerto Rico has a legitimate trash problem because they're on an island. Like, where are you going to put it, right? There's all these people living on that island. Where are you going to put it? And so they have landfills. Their landfills are way over capacity. So that's where the joke came from.
Right.
Like, the joke came from, like, Tony being environmentally conscious.
Well,
from being
Tony,
environmentally conscious.
I
Maybe you
would
should have
think
laid down a little bit of that
I
backstory
would've thought a little bit
so the
about
joke would make a
it
little
more.
more sense
I
and
thought it
not
was
just
funny.
be.
I will say, I've seen Tony a couple times. I've never heard the Puerto Rico joke. I've seen him do I've seen his act quite a few times. I have not heard that one, although I guess I haven't been in Austin in quite a while. But it is funny that even Rogan himself was like, that's a joke that's going to get you stabbed.
Yeah,
certainly
when he
was a
said,
warning.
I don't like the joke,
Yeah.
but, it's because
Yeah, I was
Tony's so
like, wow.
environmentally conscious that
Yeah.
he doesn't. Okay. This was funny. I'll put this up on the screen. Apparently, this was some of the backstory, which also indicated that he had delivered it, in clubs before. He says it was not the first time Hinchcliffe had used the Puerto Rico line. He practiced it at the Stand Comedy Club in New York City, where he made a surprise appearance Saturday night, according to an NBC News producer who happened to be there. The joke did not draw laughs, just a handful of awkward chuckles. And you guys will recall at the rally, too, it bombed. No one, it was like just a little bit of nervous laughter, maybe. Hinchcliffe told the audience he would be performing at the Madison Square Garden rally the next day and said multiple times during his routine that he would get a better reaction tomorrow at the rally. Famous last words. This person opines, I like that Tony bombed at the rally being like, this usually does better at clubs, after he bombed at the club saying, this is going to kill at the rally. So listen, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York City, and maybe it's just not really the location for this line to work out for you.
He's got to keep saying it in Austin, Texas, where Mexicans are allowed to laugh at Puerto Ricans. That's what you got to keep doing. You got to know your demographics, Tony.
Yeah, I do have to say, like, I do kind of agree with it really is the fault of the Trump campaign. Like, it really is their fault.
Yeah.
Because look at Tony Hinchcliffe's body of work.
That's correct.
Like, if you don't want, and they vetted his remarks. And reportedly, he was planning to call Kamala Harris the C word, and they were like, that's too far. But everything else, and not just this Puerto Rico joke, they left in. So, I mean, I do sort of agree that the blame really lies at the feet of the Trump campaign for thinking that this was a good idea, knowing, like, looking at his body of work and being like, yes, this is a great thing to have at our political rally, because of course he's going to do the thing that he does.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea why a comedian. I think I said that too. Even though I'm not, whatever. I still think a lot of it is overblown. I don't know why you would have a comedian at a freaking rally. Period. Like, there's really no reason for it.
Yeah.
It has no precedence. It's not even one of those, like, old-timey things that people used to do to, like, jazz up the crowd. They used to just have bands. We should bring that back, right? We should have bands.
It's also like, if you want to be edgy in that context, wouldn't you, as a roast comedian, go after some of the, like, people that are there? Like, that's the thing that really is, like,
Well, I mean, he hit some of the core constituencies. He went after some, didn't he tell some Jewish jokes? And he was telling some, there was some there. I think that, well, again, also, a lot of it didn't land very well.
Because, like, that's the whole thing of a roast, is like the Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady's right there, and you're saying some wild shit to his face instead of, like, here's some demographic groups that we all hate, right? Let's let's go after them. So anyway, that's Rogan's take on it.
There you go. I thought it was funny. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.